So welcome back, Abafundi. We are starting module 4, but in fact, straight after we finish talking about decimals, we're going to just do some general practice for the rest of this section. So let's dive straight in. We're going to be talking about decimals, right? And there's a whole lot of little children holding up decimals, and that one we call 1/10. That's 100th. That's 1,000th. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the decimal number system. And our decimal number system basically works on bases of 10, all right? So when we've got a number like 378, that is an 8 in the units column, all right? A 7 in the tens column, which means 7 lots of 10, which is 70, and a 3 in the hundreds column, which means 3 lots of 100. And that gives us this number 300. So that 3 represents 300, that 7 represents 70, and this 8 represents an 8. Altogether, 378. Okay, now, when we've got decimals, we've got tenths straight after the decimal point, then hundredths, and then thousandths. Okay, so this number here actually represents 3 tenths, because that's 3 in the tenths column, 7 hundredths, and 5 thousandths. If we wanted to add them, right, we could add them up. We would need to get the common denominator, which we're totally comfortable with from fractions, and we get 375 thousandths. So 0.375 is 375 thousandths. Right, now what we want you to do, we want you to, and we'll do the first two with you, and then we'll ask you to try some. We want you to take these decimals and put them into fraction form. Now, that's 2 tenths, and that is 3 hundredths. So altogether, we've got 23 hundredths. Okay, now you might not be entirely convinced of that straight away. Maybe you want to go like we did on the previous page, 2 tenths and 3 hundredths. And then we want to add these. So we must make these into hundredths. So we actually get 20 hundredths plus the 3 hundredths, and we get 23 hundredths. Okay. But we are hoping that you will soon be able to go directly to there. This one's, can 23 hundredths simplify? No, it definitely can't simplify because 23 is a prime number. So there's no possible way it can simplify. 0.6 is just 6 tenths. All right, we've just got 6 in the tenths column. That can simplify because 6 and 10 are both even numbers. Let's divide the top and the bottom by 2 and we get 3/5. Okay, right. Pause the video, try the rest of the questions on this page. Okay, so this one, 25 hundredths. Now, we should know that 25 hundredths is a quarter. There are 4 lots of 25 and 100, so we can divide the top by 25 and the bottom by 25. You might have taken longer to get there. Maybe you divided by 5, in which case you would have got 5. If you divide the bottom by 5, you would have got 20. And then 5 goes into 24 times. This one is 0.45. It's 45 hundredths. Now 45 hundredths, what goes into 45 and 100? Well, definitely 5 does. It goes 45 divided by 5 is 9. 100 divided by 5 is 20. That can't simplify any further. This one is 8 thousandths. That's tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Now that can simplify because both of those are even, right? And so if we divide by, let's divide by 4 in fact. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And 1,000 divided by 4 is 250. These are both even, so we can divide by 2 again, and we actually get 1/125, 125th. Okay, this one is 6 hundredths. Well, 6 hundredths can simplify, can't it? It can simplify to 3/50ths. It definitely can't simplify any further because 3 is a prime number. There's nothing that will go into 3. This one, 333 over 1,000. Okay. I don't think that can simplify. All right. If it can, our calculator will simplify it. Let's try. Okay, so just to show you how our calculator will simplify it, if we took 8 over 1,000, this previous one, 8 over 1,000, and our calculator simplifies it for us. Let's try 333 over 1,000. I think we're going to find it doesn't simplify. No, it doesn't simplify. Okay, right. 3 comma 4. Guys, 3 comma 4 is 3 comma 4 is 34 over 10. We should be comfortable with that. All right, and that can simplify because both of those are even. We can divide the top by 2 and we can divide the bottom by 2. That definitely can't simplify any further. The next one, this is going to be 20048 divided by. Now, we need to move the decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to divide by 10 to the power of 4 or 10,000. Okay, that can definitely simplify because both of these numbers are even. Right? If we halve the bottom, we get 5,000. If we halve the top, these are all even numbers, so they're easy to halve. 10024. This is still even on the top, so it can halve again. We're going to get 2,500. And over here we're going to get, instead of 10,024, we're going to get 5,012. Okay, that can halve again. All right, because half of 5,000, sorry, that's not going to be, that's going to be 5,012. We've got an extra 0 in here. All right, half of 5,000 is 2,500, and 62506 divided by half of 2,500 is 1,250. These are still both even. All right, and so we can go on. Right, let's just actually go. We are cheating a little bit, but we're just going to see what this actually comes to. 20048 over 10,000. We don't want to spend too much time on this. Sorry, it's over 10,000. And so we get 1253 over 625. In fact, if I'd done one more division by 2, we would have got there. 1253 over 625. And then 68 hundredths. This is 68 hundredths. This is 68%. Right? But we can simplify it down. These are both even. 34 out of 50. Still both even. So we can divide by 2 again. 17 out of 25. 17 is a prime number. That's as good as it's going to get. Okay, now what we also need to be able to do is to go the other way. We need to be able to take fractions and convert them into decimals. And to do this, what we want is we want to have bases, denominators that are either 10 or 100 or 1,000. So what can we do to 5 to make it 10? We can multiply by 2. If we multiply the bottom by 2, we've got to multiply the top by 2. Now 6/10 means that we've got a 6 in our tenths column. And do you see how we've taken that fraction and we've written it as a decimal, right? Our calculator can do it, but we need to be able to do this without a calculator as well. Right, let's just show you. If we go 3 over 5, our calculator leaves it as 3 over 5, but if we say take it from the symbolic representation of 3 over 5 to the decimal, that's what that button does. It gives us the decimal of 0,6. Okay, 17 over 20. Now, so we want to get this to 100. What can we do to 20 to get to 100? That's right, multiply it by 5. If we multiply 17 by 5, we get 85. Now, let's just think about how we could do that. 10 by 5 would give us 50. 7 by 5 would give us 35. Add them together, we get 85. 85 over 100 means that we've got 85 into the hundredths column. That's 85 over 100. Now this one is over 40 and we want to get it to 100. That's awkward. But we could halve both of these. And now what can we do to 20 to get to 100? That's right, we can multiply by 100, and in fact we've just done that one. 17 times 5, multiply by 5 on the top and the bottom, and just as before we're going to get 0,85. What about 3 out of 200? Okay, now 3 out of 200, if we divide the top and the bottom by 2, we're going to get 1.5 out of 100. Now, think about 1,5, and we're going to move that decimal place twice because we're dividing by 100. We're going to move it twice to the left, making the number smaller. So it's going to go there, and then it's going to go there. So in fact, our answer is going to be 0,015. 0,015. Okay, and we can check again. We can check that on a calculator. 3 out of 200. There it is. And if we put it into decimal form, 0,015. Okay, we're going to ask you to pause the video, and we're going to ask you to try these ones. There's quite a number of them. In each case, we want you to try and get them as decimals. Okay, so the first one, hopefully quite straightforward. The first one is 7 out of 10. We can just write that straight away as 0,7. The next one, we want to make, this is a little bit tricky actually, and the numbers get quite big and quite ugly. We want to make that into, remember 16 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. It's 4 2's multiplying together. How would I make tens on the bottom here? Well, I would need to multiply by 5 4 times. So in fact, if I did that, I would get 4 tens on the bottom. I'd get 10,000. And on the top, I'd have 3 times 5 to the power of 4. Okay, this is maybe a little bit difficult for grade 8, that particular concept. Okay, but let's just have a look at what 3 times 5 to the power of 4 is. It's 1875. So now what we've got is 1875 over 10,000. That we can easily write into a decimal form, because if we think of our 1875 and we divide it by 10 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to get 0,1875. 0,1875 is exactly the same number as 3/16. All right, 3/16. Let's take a look. It's decimal form. There it is. Okay, we wouldn't ask you something like that, I don't think, in a test or an exam. Maybe a little bit hard for grade 8. How do we get 25's to 100? Well, we multiply by 4. If we multiply the bottom by 4, we must multiply the top by 4. 24 hundredths, 0,24. How do we get 50ths to hundredths? Easy. We just double the top, double the bottom. 30 hundredths. 30 hundredths, 0,3. Right, 30 hundredths is exactly the same as 3 tenths. 13 out of 200. Let's halve the top. Half of 13 is 6.5, and half of 200 is 100. So now what we've got is we've got 6,5. We want to divide by 100, so we want to move the decimal place twice. So we're going to get 0,65, and we move it again, we're going to get 0,065. 0,065 is exactly the same as 13 out of 200. 7 out of 80. Okay, that's a bit rough, but that's very rough. Okay. In fact, it's so rough, we're going to leave that one. Okay. Yeah. Let's leave that one. This one's easy. We just double the top, double the bottom. We get 142 out of 100. All right. If we take 142 and we divide it by 100, it means we divide it by 10 once, twice. 1,42, and 3 out of 2,000, okay, also maybe a little bit rough, but if we multiplied the bottom by 5, we would get 10,000, and if we multiply the top by 5, we'd get 15. So now we've got 15, and we want to divide it by 10 4 times. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 0,0015. Well, we can just show you that that is in fact the case. Again, if we go 3 over 2000 and we put it into decimal form, there it is. The calculator actually shows it to us in what we call scientific notation, which we're going to be talking about next term. Okay, now what happens when we can't get our denominator like that? Now what we've got to do is we've got to do long division, all right? And we will, generally we're going to allow you to use a calculator, but let's have a look. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take, we're going to take 6 and we're going to divide it into 1, right? So 6 doesn't go into 1, so we put a 0, and then we put a 0 here. Right, 6 goes into 10, how many times? It goes in once. Right, 1 times 6 is 6, and we do a subtraction. Right, and then we bring down another 0. So now 6 goes into 40, how many times? 6 sixes of 36, so 6 goes into 40, 36 times, and now 6 times 6, 36, subtract, and we get 4, bring down, and we get 0. And so now we're dividing into 40 again. So 1/6 is actually, it just continues, 0,16666. Okay, let's have a look at it on the calculator. 1/6, put it into decimal form, and we get 0,16, carrying on forever. Let's look at sevenths, okay? So we're going to do exactly the same thing, and I'm going to teach you a little rhyme here. We're going to divide 7 into 2. Okay, 7 does not divide into 2, so it's 0. Then we bring down, we put a 0 here, we put a comma. 7 into 20, so we're dividing 7 into 20. 7 goes into 20 twice. 2 lots, so that's the divide step, D for divide. Then we take this 2 and we multiply it by the 7 and we get 14. That's the multiply step, right? Then we subtract 20 minus 14 and we get 6, right? And then we bring down the next 0. Okay, so subtract, bring down. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Some people like to remember this as daddy, mummy, sister, brother. Okay, this is long division, which you should be familiar with. All right, now 7 goes into 60 8 times. 7 lots of 8 is 56. Now, yeah, 7 goes, now 8 times 7 is 56, so we go like that, and then we subtract. That's the multiply step, subtract. We get 6. 7 doesn't go into 6, but it goes into, bring down. 7 goes into 60. 7 goes into 60. Right, 7 goes into 60 8 times again. Let's just check this. 7 goes into 60. Sorry, this is not, sorry guys. This is not 54. 8 sevens are 50. 6. This is not 60. Because when we subtract, we get 40. All right. 7 goes into 40. Well, 7 goes into 45 times. All right. And 5 sevens are 35. 40 minus 35 is 5. Right. And now we've got 7 going to 50. It goes in 7 times. And so we carry on. Okay. All right. To however many decimal places, but notice we've taken 2/7 and we've written it as a decimal. We're going to do one more, and then we're going to stop the video and we're going to ask you to try just a couple of these for homework. We're not going to do too many because they are important, but normally we're going to allow you to use a calculator. Right, so 12, we're going to divide 12 into 5. 12 doesn't go into 5, so we put a 0. We bring down a 0 here and we say, right, 12 goes into 50. Well, 12 goes into 50 4 times. 4, that's the divide step. 4 times 12 is 48. That's the multiply step. Then we do a subtraction and we get 2. And then we bring down another 0. 12 goes into 20 once. All right? 1 times 12 is 12. 20 minus 12 is 8. That's the subtract step, and then we bring down. 12 goes into 80 6 times. All right? 6 lots of 12 is 72, and lo and behold, we get 8 again, and we get 80 again. So from here on, it's just going to go 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. Okay, and we can show you that. All right? Let's have a look. 5 divided by 12. What's the decimal version of 5 divided by 12? Well, it doesn't simplify it, but if we put in decimal version, there it is. Okay, we're going to stop there, and we're going to ask you just to do, let's just do 2 of these. Let's try B and F before we next see you. In fact, you can try D as well. Let's try those 3. This one, we'll give you a hint here, this one actually simplifies before we even start. What goes into 20 and into 75? 4 does. It goes in 15 times. All right. Sorry, 5. 5 goes into 20 4 times and into 75 15 times. So these are the 3 we want you to try. We'll see you next time.